Yeah, I want to save some of these materials for my other echoes. Wait, you can get crit rate percent on main stat and crit rate percent on sub stat. So we got one more crit rate percent. We got crit rate percent, crit damage percent, alongside with 18.4%. Okay guys, let's check out this tier list by Mr. Poki. I guess somebody shared this to me earlier, and I was like, it was linked from this Twitter, and I'm guessing this is all leading to a video, a Bilibili video, and Mr. Poki did check out this video, so we're gonna check it out. 16 minutes. But this is not the most outdated, right? It's 23rd. I don't know if it's still the same though, right?
So in the main DPS category, we have Encore at tier 0, as well as JIYAN, Sub-DPS tier 0 as Sanhua, and Verena is gonna be our tier 0 support.
So basically the best, according to this tier list, this is CN tier list, the best DPS right now in the game is Encore and JIYAN for main DPS. But there's a caveat right here, I'll let him explain it after this. Sanhua is the best sub-DPS, Verena is the main support. And if you look at the best tier list in the entirety of tier lists, Breed 1, okay, like look at this, it's very similar. Okay, it's very similar, look at this. Oh, actually it's not similar, Encore is here, but the rest is similar, I guess. Sanhua is not really as high as it seems to be. They did put Yinlin right here. This one, Yinlin is not there yet. So there's that. Okay.
JIYAN over here, it is gonna be with signature light cone. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Without signature light cone, the highest damaging main DPS in a release is going to be Encore at 29,500 per second. Right? Without signature light cone, JIYAN's damage falls off a goddamn cliff, dropping to 2.424.
So basically, Encore is the strongest without signature DPS, but with signature DPS, JIYAN is the strongest. But what weapon is Encore using right now, right? That's the thing. What weapon is Encore using? What are they comparing? Like, when they say not... Are they comparing it using the 4-star weapon? Because that's what I'm curious.
4,900 without signature light cone, which is still slightly above Calchero at...
Signature light cone, I mean... you guys know the deal, right? Signature light cone means weapon, alright? This thing is JIYAN's signature light cone, Verdant Summit. Okay, it's so obvious. It's so obvious, right? So Encore might actually be the best, okay?
At 22,300, and this is going to be 20,800 for Ling Yang. And then tier 2 main DPS, we're going to have...
What surprises me is Ling Yang, actually. Because in the Pritwen's tier list, the best website, again, I want to reiterate how awesome Pritwen is. Ling Yang is at the bottom, like, it's as though he's garbage and trash, right? But, you know what? Here is a little bit different. But again, it's not that much different, right? Tier 1 and tier 2 is like, probably interchangeable. Like, it's not like he's like all the way at the tier 0.
Tricia at 1.76.
So Ling Yang is not that bad.
At 1.59 as a main DPS. I'm gonna talk about the criteria a little bit, but I'm just gonna briefly go through what are the tiers so far. And then Sanhua is gonna be tier 0 over here. Then tier 1 is gonna be Modify. He does need JIYAN, and then this is gonna be Danjing. He does need a main DPS Havoc, right? So Havoc main DPS, Danjing works exceptionally well as the secondary Havoc DPS with our main DPS Havoc, right? And then this is gonna be slightly better than Jianxing.
Mortify goes really well with JIYAN. Everybody already knows this. And what surprises me is, what did I have to say, Jansin?
Does need to pair up with Calchero, and then Chiusui Auto is gonna need to pair up with... and then
Wait.
this is gonna be slightly better than Jianxing, who does need to pair up with Calchero, and then Chiusui...
So Jansin needs to be paired with Calchero. Interesting. And then Auto?
Auto is gonna need to pair up with JIYAN. Unfortunately...
Pair Auto with JIYAN. Why would you pair Auto with JIYAN when you already pair Mortify with JIYAN, right? The logic here would be like, I would say Mortify and JIYAN makes more sense, and then you put Verena in there as a healer, right? Unless you want to go like Mortify out, then 2 gun, and that's
because Modify fundamentally performs better with JIYAN than Auto, then Modify is gonna be a better support than Auto for this tier 1. And then tier 2 is gonna be Taoqi, which is gonna be the defensive DPS.
Not out
finally,
yet.
we do have our support / sustain.
Verena's the best.
Gonna be our best in slot. Bai is gonna be our next best in slot. And then this Jianxing is in a very weird spot where you are basically a shooter.
So basically, if you pair Jansin with Calchero, she's right here in the sub-DPS slot. But if you use her as a support that just gathers shield, she's not as strong as Baizi or even Verena, right?
A little bit of additional buffs and crowd control, so it doesn't really pair as well as the normal traditional support stats thing, because her supportive ability is not as high. And then finally, we have the final role, which is going to be Yang Yang, Xuanwu, as well as our Spectral MC, right? They didn't
Yang, Yuanwu, and Spectral MC. They didn't put the Havoc MC.
They include Havoc MC here.
Yeah.
I think it's due to spoilers, so they didn't include Havoc MC. But if I were to guess, Havoc MC as a main DPS is probably going to play somewhere in tier 1, because Havoc MC surprisingly has been able to deal a considerable amount of damage. I'm going to be talking about Havoc MC in the future, but we'll just talk about it next time. So before we continue, I know...
Yeah, so basically, if we look at Britwen's tier list, it is same with Calcaro, right? You don't need Calcaro anymore. So right here, you can see, insane, right? So Havoc MC, Calcaro, and then pair it with Dungeon, insane. Insane synergy right there. Alright, you just get the best team altogether.
You guys are probably like, why the Encore and tier insane in nuclear. So I'm just gonna go through the criteria.
Why the F is Encore at tier 0, guys? Alright?
So tier 0, extremely strong core main DPS, fares well with every single team, as well as Chongyanbao is basically like for your resonance energy, you can charge up.
Does Encore pairs well with every team though? That's the thing. Because like I feel like there's no team that have a special synergy with her right now, right?
Very fast. Tier 1, slightly lower DPS output, and then for your sub-DPS, you can still pair them, but it is more limited, right? So for Sanhua, she basically pairs up very well with almost every single main TPS we have.
So Sanhua pairs very well with every other character. Huh. Interesting. I always thought that she needs like a specific team. I should start building her then, right? I should start building Sanhua. Yeah. Encore is actually T0, that's crazy.
Of version 1.0, because basic attack damage deepen is just a very universal outro skill.
Wait, the next character that you outro gains 38% basic attack damage deepen for 14 seconds.
That everyone can use off. That's why she's gonna be tier 0. So the tier 1s doesn't mean that they're bad, it's just that they're a little bit more restrictive. But if you do have, like for example, JIYAN,
that's Sanhua's one.
Modify or Sanhua, you run him with Modify to get an even better performance than pairing up with Sanhua, right? So it is just a little bit more niche, doesn't mean that they're worse in that sense, right? So, and then the last for our support is just their energy regeneration is not that high. So Verena...
So yeah, basically this sub-DPS slot, it can be a little bit tricky, right? Just because Sanhua is the highest doesn't mean she fits, like he's trying to say, like it doesn't mean like with JIYAN, Modify is still going to be better. But I guess she's more flexible, that's why she's higher in that situation.
Very quick ultimate, right? Resonance energy, very fast. You can spam it out. So probably maybe it's a little bit slower. So that's gonna be the determining factor for our support set sustain category. So notes: every single number, especially for the main DPS here, is gonna be through their server testing, and it does align with the public server's current data and current math and damage numbers, right? So this is updated to the public live version of Wuthering Waves, and then from a team build,
that means if you guys are thinking, is it the nerf version? Yeah, it's like
perspective, you need to consider a team's performance and not specifically a unit performance, which is a little bit similar to like Honkai style tier list.
Team performance,
don't really consider a unit to be tier 1 or tier 2. You need to consider how well their team performs. So for example, DOT team right now in Honkai style is extremely universal, pretty easy to build, and you can clear both emotes.
Yep, I vouch for DOT team. Make sure you guys build Kafka and Black Swan. Everybody has those, right?
Which is right. DOT team comp, they tend to perform quite well, right? Hyper carry, it performs very well, but you probably need a little bit more investment. Your Imbibitor Rune, your Scylla, your Daughter ratio, you do need a little bit more investment, and it's a little bit more restrictive. And then Aircon is just being Aircon because she's completely broken, right? So you do need to consider this from a team perspective instead of an individual unit perspective, right? Do not, right? Tier 1, do not only look at tier 0. Okay, they are tier 0, therefore they're the best. I only want to get them right. Every single unit here is gonna be at 0 Eidolons, and that's gonna be there. So if you have additional Eidolons for a unit, especially for 4 stars, their ranking can change very drastically. For example, Tanji's Eidolons, they're absolutely ridiculous. Her E4 provides crit rate, her E1 and E2 provides even more damage, and her E6 is a team-wide attack buff. So if you have a very high Eidolon Tanjing, I wouldn't be surprised seeing her even placing quite well in the main DPS category.
So my JIYAN is like A1. So I think like for me, it would be like a different one, right? 0 Eidolons. Yeah, 0 Eidolons, guys.
Because based on testings, an E6 Dungeon single target main DPS, assuming perfect rotations, no downtime, it is one of, if not the highest burst in the entire game. E6, right? So that's gonna be that. In the future tier lists, they would consider 4 stars with additional Eidolons. So for now, they're all currently considered Eidolon 0. So just take that into consideration.
Alright.
Havoc MC, right? Havoc MC is not included yet. And then this is gonna be the average damage, right? If we take AoE, grouping AoE monsters into consideration, when it comes to AoE content, there are some characters
is that because while Encore is high
have an advantage. Namely, JIYAN, his ultimate has this innate grouping ability, right? He can group up all the units together,
very strong,
and just damage them all. And none other units here have this ability of the self group up. So an issue that I have noticed with Calchero is that when you're using his burst, his skills, it is very narrow, right? His range is very, very narrow. His ultimate is all basic attacks. So if the enemies are not grouped, you will have a more difficult time clearing AoE content with Calchero.
Yeah, I feel like Ling Yang and Calchero might have that difficulty depending on. But then can't you say the same thing for the other way? Like, for example, if there's just one large boss or one huge boss, that means like everything would change in that perspective, right? Because then GN would like, you don't need the utility in GN as much to group the enemies because it's just one huge enemy, one large monster.
Compared to GN, right? So there are some things that can't really be described over here. So if you want to take into...
Encore is more unique because her ultimate allows her to move extremely swiftly and extremely fast amongst different enemies. She just rush across and do damage across very easily. So I think she's quite unique in that sense.
Grouping into consideration, then JIYAN's rating will go up drastically because he's the only DPS we have right now that has an innate self-grouping for AoE content, right? So that's gonna be that. For single...
I guess Yang Yang can sort of do it as well, but hers is like Yang Yang and Jensen can do it in a way, but I think GN's grouping is just massively OP.
Target DPS output, then JIYAN's gonna fall off because JIYAN's key ability, his key strength is not single target burst, right? His main usage is using his ultimate to group up waves of enemy and dispersion them at the same time.
But yeah, I guess it's easy. It makes sense to just have a look at the rundown. But now I can understand at least from a perspective. So it's looking at how they work in a team. There's always going to be that taken into equation. Tier list usually has the Abyss or Tower in mind. So a better grouping character or AoE character wins more. But some floors have just one single huge enemy, right? Or some floors have like 2 huge enemies depending. But yeah, I can see like, for example, if there's less enemies, GN can fall off a little bit more depending, right? But yeah, I think it's overall a good tier list and a good translation as well by Mr. Poki. If you guys want to watch the rest of it, I'll link it to you guys right here. But yeah, Encore is actually tier 0 for now. If anyone's looking to build her, that's worth it. That's worth it. She's worth the investment. Best character in the game, surprisingly.